We had the fear of the pandemic, we had the blizzard, and then you have trying to get an ambulance into the venue down a steep slope in a blizzard. We were almost afraid to ask what next because it seemed like there would always be another what next. I'll never forget that gathering. That was one of the best gatherings just because it was so different, it was so unique, it was so genuine, and it was like a Camino. Unlike a lot of people who had seen the way, I found my way to the Camino through a public television showing of a Rick Steves travelogue to Spain, and he showed people in Pamplona walking the Camino, and I thought to myself, that looks amazing. And from that, I started Googling and did some more research. My husband, an airline pilot, came home from a trip, and I said, honey, have I got a plan? And that was what started it, and that was what started the walk. And after the walk, what I took home from that was, I need to keep going. My first Camino was in 2015. I attended my first gathering in 2016. And I'm an introvert. I live in Indianapolis, and the 2016 gathering was just over in Illinois, and I thought, this is perfect. I can drive there, and if it's an awful experience, I can get in the car and drive home, and nobody will ever know what happened to me, and that's okay. I have a clear memory still today of going into my room at the dorm, and there's another Pilgrims backpack on on a bed, and I thought, okay, this is great. I've got a roommate. I wonder who this person is. And I went off back out to my car to get something. I came in. There's a man in the room, and I'm thinking, I thought we were sharing a same-sex room. We talked. Well, his name was Chris, and I thought, Chris could be confusing, and so we talked to each other, and he was old enough to be my grandfather. And I said, Chris, how do we want to handle this? Do we want to go find the organizers and say that there's been a terrible mistake, or do we want to take our Camino lessons and see what happens? And so we said, yeah, we can be adults about this. And he's now one of my dear friends. You take that, I don't think I can handle this, but you're in a situation with other pilgrims with shared experiences, and then you say, let's make the best of this situation. At my first gathering in 2016, I'm sitting watching, really enjoying all the presentations and the talks and all of the activities, and my background is public relations and event planning and things, many other things too, but I'm watching the gathering and seeing how things are done because I said I like to observe. And I'm looking at this thinking, I bet I could do this. I bet I could pull off this gathering thing. Why? I was looking for something to do. I wanted to give back. In January of 2019, I was asked if I would chair the 2020 gathering. The journey to Tahoe began with a site visit in February of 2019, which might have been a sign for the future, because as we were leaving Tahoe, we were driving out of what became kind of a spring snowstorm, not quite a blizzard, but we're driving out thinking, wow, I hope the weather's not like this next year. Yeah, Lake Tahoe is the place where we're going to have it and feel really good about it. The facilities are fantastic, the staff are fantastic, and then I set to work with the team, recruiting speakers, designing the program, designing everything, and with a good friend of mine who managed registration, we got everything all set to go, and we were ready to have pilgrims come. So we get there a few days ahead of time. The weather is spectacular. It's in, I don't even know what the weather was, but it had to have been somewhere in the upper 50s or 60s, blue skies and sunshine, and it was spectacular weather for mid-March. The gathering began on March 12th through March 15th. You're starting to hear about this virus. The board had talks and we decided that we were going to go forward with the gathering, and we thought, hey, we're going to have a great gathering. Everybody there was committed to having a good time and they wanted to get together with the Pilgrims, and then it just started to change. I've had another friend say, this seemed, looking back on it, the 2020 gathering every day was kind of like an Agatha Christie mystery, because there was a group of people, and the next time we got together for a meal, there were a few less people. And then you'd go to bed, and the next morning you'd get together for breakfast, and you'd say, the number of people at the tables, at the meals in the cafeteria keeps getting smaller. What happened? Oh, because they decided that they're going to leave because they drove 1,000 miles or 500 miles, or they want to fly home and they just, yeah, they need to leave. And that was fine. But those of us who stayed, I think we really had something that left its mark on our hearts and our soul and our very being. We had impromptu speakers. We had people who'd never given programs before, but had kind of been thinking in the back of their mind as they're watching other people do their presentations, kind of like I did back in 2016. I think I could do that. And so I went around to people and I said, look, we have 3 speakers who've either canceled or gone home early. And is there something you'd like to talk about? What's your work? What's your passion? What's your Camino experience? Tell me about that. Would you like to give a short program? I could do that. I'd like to do that. And so we had a whiteboard. We threw the program out the window and we were rearranging it on the fly. And there are people who presented for the first time when recruited on site at Tahoe who are still presenting today. We had everything. We had the looming pandemic. Then we had a looming blizzard, which caused a lot of people to leave early and drive home. And then we had the arrival of the actual blizzard. And we had Dan Mullins from Australia was giving a concert for our gala evening. And then we ended up with a medical emergency during that event. So we had the fear of the pandemic, we had the blizzard, and then you have trying to get an ambulance into the venue down a steep slope in a blizzard. I remember people coming up to me saying, do you need anything? Can I get you some food? Do you need me to get you some coffee? Do you need a back rub? Do you need me to just sit next to you? And can I do anything to help you? And are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. What am I supposed to do? Throw my hands up in the air and panic and run out the door and say, I don't want to be here anymore, because it was my responsibility. We were all calm, we were all well fed, we all had a place to stay, we all had each other, and what was the worst thing that could happen? After the ambulance came and he was taken to the hospital the next day, he was released from the hospital, and we've seen him at gatherings since then. So yeah, we didn't lose anyone. We did not lose anyone, and we really had a wonderful time. And there are still people today, myself included, who say, I'll never forget that gathering. That was one of the best gatherings, just because it was so different, it was so unique, it was so genuine. We came in, bright-eyed and dewy-faced, going, wow, this is the gathering, it's fantastic. And we left there as tested warriors, almost. We've proven that we can make it through. And we were not alone. It was something that we all made it through together. So I've walked the Camino, and I've got people around me whom I love and care about and cherish, and I'm not going to let them down. I'm not going to let myself down. And if I can get, somebody over here to help with this, and if I can, reassure somebody over here, it was a real community effort and a community reward. Got down the hill to Reno and went to the airport, and I remember seeing Rachel Ganzon and Linda Smith in the airport and saying, I don't know when I'll hug you again, so I'm going to hug you one last time. And so hugs at the airport, and we went to the gates and we went to our flights. And at 2:30 in the morning, of course you're wondering what's going on. At 2:30 in the morning, I took out my phone and I thought, I've got to write down what I'm feeling. And I just sort of had that inspiration. So I took out my phone and typed out a message about finding your inner superpower. On the Camino, you find that strength within, and once you find it, you're maybe not unstoppable, but you feel much more resilient. You feel more confident. You've got that something in you that you go, yeah, I can do this. This isn't so bad. Everything's going to be okay. It may not be exactly like I want it to be, because the 2020 gathering was not what was on the program. But looking back, I wouldn't want it any other way. But I sat down and I wrote that, and I looked at it and said, this is good. And at the bottom, I wrote on there, written on American Airlines, this flight, this day, at this time. And I closed the note and I put it away, and I didn't look at it for a year. And then I picked it up and read it and went, wow, that was really prophetic. Would you like me to read it? The strength within, your superpower. When we hear the call to walk the Camino de Santiago, sometimes the answer is an immediate and enthusiastic yes. For others, it's a slow burn that's always smoldering until it suddenly explodes. Both groups have doubts and nagging questions once we commit to walking. Can I really expect to walk that far and for that long? What about blisters? What if I fail? Can my body withstand it? Some will get blisters on the first day. Others gradually develop knee problems, tendinitis or plantar fasciitis. We persist, putting one foot in front of the other, moving towards our destination, harboring thoughts of self-doubt, insecurity, lack of confidence, loneliness, despair, and regret. What was I thinking? Why did I think I could do this? I miss my family and my own bed, but it's not what I thought it would be. I can't physically do this. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm sick of walking. I want to go home. Somewhere deep inside, we discover something many of us didn't realize we possess: inner strength. That superpower I envy in others, embodied by quiet confidence, resilience, and determination, often accompanied by grace. I've faced the worst and came out on the other side with a superpower, that knowledge that I will not be broken, no matter how broken I felt in that darkest hour. Others will help you if you ask and let them. You can help others discover their inner strength, their superpower. We'll walk together into Santiago, supporting and inspiring each other, shedding tears of joy. When we walk with others, we share our superpower. We can't contain it. We can't see it. We discover it. We help others in need. We'll get through this by supporting and loving each other. We're stronger than we know. We got the medical emergency resolved, and Dan finished his concert. I taught Dan Mullins how to make a snow angel.